This journey isn't something that we do all at once. And I wonder how many of you have tried many times in the past. You know, I have too. Where you start, you're good for a little while, and then you stop. Life happens, gets in the way. Today, we want to talk about how to take those healthy habits. Once you've started them, once you've practiced them once or twice, maybe for a week, you've gotten them going. Today I want to talk about how to keep them going so you can make them a way of life, so you can make them your default habits. In the end, our healthy life is just the sum total of our healthy habits. We want to make these a way of life so that we keep them forever. Give me a hands up if you want to be a person who can live comfortably at their goal weight, not even having to really think about it. If you want to be a person who enjoys the food you love, who never fears any food, any social occasion, never feels like you can't have something because you're being good, right? Do you want to be a person who knows how to have everything that you have in a healthy balance? That really is the secret, and all it takes is training in new habits. So how habits form? Habits are just choices, thoughts, actions, behaviors that we've taken, that we've repeated enough times for our brain to recognize that pattern, to know the trigger, and to react to it, to respond with the healthy choice. Right? That's all a habit is. A habit is your brain seeing a trigger and responding with a reaction, solving it in a way. So when we want healthy habits, we just have to make that healthy choice conscious and repeat it enough times till our brain does it automatically. So, how do you keep the healthy habits you've started going? Well, the very first thing I like to teach is make sure you stay connected to why that matters that you do continue, right? Sometimes we think, I'm excited, I'm motivated, I'm energized at one point, and I'm going to do it. And they're like, wouldn't it be nice? I'll envision getting to goal and living at goal, fitting into that outfit, feeling confident in a photo, doing that activity, whatever it is that your ultimate goal is, running around with the kids, whatever it is. And we go, all right, I've made up my mind to do it. We only really think about the end, right? We sometimes think about the start and the end. Okay, I'm going to do this and this to start. I'm going to think about this at the end. We forget that it is a real life, that we actually have to integrate the habits, the new choices into our life, that we have to say no to some of our old choices consciously, deliberately, so that we can train the new ones in. You really do need to be connected to why it matters that you succeed. This is why we did it as habit number 1, the start. Why does it matter that I can see? What is the vision of my life? What are all of the decisions I'll be making at goal when I've achieved it? So firstly, connect to your why, and then use the support that you've created, right? We talked about internal and external support during our kickstart. So internal support, do I have my own back? Am I going to look after me? Do I care enough about myself in order to keep making healthy choices? I'm going to come back to that in a moment, because when we don't have that piece, I really think it is the key piece. If we don't have that piece, we often fall into some of the traps, some of the mistakes that lead us to giving up, to quitting, to saying it's all too hard, or I can't do it, or I'm not in the right headspace, I'll do it later. So we want to avoid that. So we've got to have our internal support network, and we need our external support network for when our internal support network isn't helping or isn't where we need to be. We need someone who can give us a fresh perspective, a new idea, who can remind us of our why. Okay, so know your why. Make sure you're connected to it every day. I actually really encourage people to write out what they're doing, what their goals are for the day, and why that matters to them. Right? Now, I'm not perfect at it. I don't do it every day, but it is something I always try and keep in mind. What am I doing and why? How am I living my best life today? What am I doing to look after myself today? What am I trying to accomplish or achieve today? And why does that matter? So often in life, because our brain likes patterns, it likes repetition, it likes automating our processes in life, very often we fall into routines, habits, if you like, in our life of just sort of living our life on automatic, just doing what we do, repeating the same old things over and over again. Now that's very useful when you have set up those things, those behaviors, to be leading you into the life you want, to be part of you living the best version of you in the best version of your life. If they aren't, nothing's going wrong, that's okay. Your brain's just done whatever your default option has been. Now, for those of us, when we get to unhealthy places, those defaults aren't helping. So becoming aware of them and then choosing to change them is an important part of achieving our success. And really, that's part of what this journey is all about, right? It's why the diet plans, the weight loss plans, exercise plans often don't get us all the way, because they deal with the how, if you like, eat this, move like this. But they don't keep us connected to why it matters in our life and what is the actual life, the individual, automatic, everyday routines that I'm trying to create to live that best version of me in the best version of my life. So how do you keep it going? Well, first of all, stay connected to your why, build your support network so that you can be focused, and then focus on just one behavior, one habit, one routine at a time. My mantra is to only make one small change at a time that you can live with. Small changes are so much more effective in the big picture than big change. And the reason is because that small, really truly doable changes that don't require much willpower are easier for our brain to handle. It doesn't like making change. And so for many of us, when we're trying to get healthier, we're trying to be fitter, or we're trying to lose weight, we try and make too many changes at once or too big a change. And our brain gets overwhelmed. It feels like that's too much work, it's too hard. So it quits. It goes, I don't like that. That was terrible. Let's just go back to what we already know, right? It's more comfortable there, even if it's not really very comfortable at all, right? But it's familiar. So we have to be willing to be a little bit uncomfortable, and to minimize that, to make it effective, we just want to focus on one small change at a time. Now, I always encourage everyone to be very specific with what that change is. It's why over the past week in the Back on Track Kickstart, we focused on just 5 habits. We focused on connecting to your why with your conscious decisions, right? We connected to it, and then we just made the habit of every time I eat, every time I reach, is this aligned with my why? That's the actual habit there. Checking every time you reach for food or drink. Is this aligned with my why? Every time you're making a decision, check in with your why. It shouldn't be happening just once at the start of your journey, or just even once a month, once a week, even once a day. Connecting to your why should happen many times throughout the day. The beauty of that is the more you practice that on purpose, the faster it becomes automatic for your brain to just check in, right? You keep telling it it's important. And again, this is why one specific change at a time really matters. If you try and do everything, then your brain doesn't really know what you're focusing on, right? If you're just trying to be good or be healthy or be disciplined, right? There's nothing specific there. So bring it right down to one change at a time, one specific behavior. Make it small, make it close to what you're already doing, but just a little bit different. Your brain will more readily accept it. It's like, oh, okay, I can handle this much change. Okay, do that. Do that again and again and again. Repeat, repeat, repeat until it feels normal. Then, watch out for the trap. Here's the first of the big traps that people try and do. I guess the first one is that they don't have something specific. They're not actually working on one small change at a time, trying to work on everything or too many things or kind of nothing, right? If you really are working on everything, you're not focusing on anything. So bring your focus to one specific change at a time. Then the next change is to iterate, right? To let go of perfection. How many of us like to be perfect at it? Like to know exactly how to do something before we do it. We like to know we're going to do it exactly right. Or we like to know exactly what every step is before we start. Right? How many of you have tried something and you're going like, I did it, and then life happened, or you fell back to an old habit, and then you gave up? Went, I can't do it. No. We have to have understanding and compassion for ourselves. And this is where this self-care piece, having our own back, loving ourselves healthy, is so important. We're imperfect as humans. Our brain has lots of systems already in place. We're not starting from a clean slate. We're not starting with nothing. So you're not going to be perfect. I'm sorry to tell you. For all my perfectionists out there, I'm sorry, you've set yourself up for failure. And the trouble is, when you're trying to do all or nothing, is that when you need everything to be right, to feel successful, to feel powerful, to feel like you're doing it right, then you're inevitably setting yourself up for failure, right? It's the difference between the fixed mindset of I have a certain amount of talent or ability, and then I have to do it right, or not at all, compared to the growth mindset, which is where I encourage everyone to be. This is iteration. I'm going to take action, and I'm going to generate a data. I'm going to get a result from that. And either it'll help or it won't, but I'll be more informed. I can make a new decision. I can try again. And in fact, failing towards success is the secret. We have to be willing to get it wrong 1, 2, 5, 100, 1,000 times in order to get it right. Getting it wrong is not a bad thing. It actually just gives us more information, more knowledge, more experience, more wisdom that we can use. So being unwilling to fail is a major mistake. So instead, be willing to fail. Be willing to try, right? And remind yourself that you're only working on one small change at a time. In addition, it's very important that you acknowledge your success. This is one mistake that many people make, is they never experience, when they do something well, they kind of brush it down or downplay it, right? Let me know in the comments if you've ever been a person who minimizes compliments or doesn't compliment yourself. Oh, it's nothing. It was like a fluke. Or it just happened to happen. No. To succeed in this journey, to keep it going, to go all the way, you do have to take ownership and responsibility of all of the choices you've been making, which means the ones you've been making that haven't been helping in your past. Taking ownership, right? You chose those. They were your decisions. Sometimes we feel like we didn't have control or we didn't have a choice. Life just happened to us. But I do not believe that is true. And I believe whenever we think that life happens to us or it just is a certain way, we give up our power to whatever's going on. We lose the opportunity to recognize that in every situation in our life, whatever is happening, whatever's going on, we always have a choice. We can always choose loving self-care and kindness. We can always choose to try something and see if it works for us. Or if we already know the thing that works for us, we have the choice to do that thing. If not, we have the choice to explore, to try, to test out as an experiment. You know, when I'm working with my clients, both in my group and in my one-to-one, I always like everyone to bring to the session, whatever challenge that's coming up in their life, whatever skill they're trying to have, or habit they're trying to practice at the moment, whatever's going on. And then we look at what are your limiting beliefs, what's holding you back, what's stopping you. And we explore new possibilities, new options. And I always like my clients at the end of every session to come up with an experiment. What am I going to experiment with this week? Right? Mastery is a constant practice. It is a discipline, not a destination. The way to keep it going is keep acknowledging yourself. It turns out many of our unhealthy habits, particularly when we resorted to food, for any of the 3 reasons we've been talking about all week, for medication, making myself feel good with food, or for distraction, or for stimulation. Remember, we often turn to food because doing so in our past, our brain is wired to do that, and it gives us a little hit of dopamine. particularly when we've been going to high fat, high sugar, high salt, high flour, alcohol type foods, right? These are all foods that really spike our dopamine, our feel-good chemicals. And so our brain goes, ooh, that felt good, I want to do it again. It's how we got locked into those unhealthy habits. So it's very, very important when you choose your new strategy, right? And of course, that's what I do with my clients. We actually work on what's going on, what's the real problem you're trying to solve, and coming up with new strategies for you to try and test out and train in to solve it in a healthier way, a way that actually works for you instead of against you. Right? And when we do that, it's very important then to acknowledge yourself for choosing the new behavior, the new habit that you intended to try on purpose, the new one that you're creating. It's so important to acknowledge your success and acknowledge what you're doing well in the moment. Because that feel-good moment, hey, yeah, I did it. Yes. Feels good. We get that little hit of dopamine to ourselves. We give it to ourselves. Feeling pride, feeling accomplished, feeling successful. Notice that. Because that will trigger your brain, remember, just like the unhealthy food, it'll trigger it to want to do that again. Keep a record of your accomplishments. I really encourage you to write down at the end of every day, here are 3 things, or here are 5 things, or here are all the things I did well today. Teach your brain to look at the positive. It naturally wants to look at the negative. It naturally wants to look at what didn't work. Our brain is primed to look for danger every 5 seconds. So it'll naturally be drawn to what didn't work. It is a practice. It is a habit to bring it to what did work. So make sure you celebrate yourself in the moment when you make that healthy choice. When you practice the new healthy behavior, acknowledge yourself. And remind yourself at the end of the day how far you've come today. Really want you to think about this. We sometimes think we want to do this journey all at once. Just going to do it and I'm just going to be perfect. Right? I'm just going to get it there. But it isn't that, right? We are constantly evolving. We are constantly changing and transforming. So we're going to make the decision many, many, many times along the way. So we're going to have to keep acknowledging ourselves, encouraging ourselves forward into the next step, the next piece. So far we've talked about connecting to your why, using your support, focusing on one small change at a time, and acknowledging your success and iterating, letting go of perfection. We've also talked about taking responsibility, and there's one more thing that I think is really critical for keeping your habits going. And that is to focus on the behavior, not the outcome. And what I really mean by this is focus on the behavior that you want to have in your life and actively practicing it, right? Not always getting it perfect, right? Getting it wrong, as I said, iterating, finding out what works, what doesn't for you, modifying it, evolving it, adjusting it again and again and again. But make sure we're focused on the behavior, not the weight. I see so many people in my 14 years of losing my own weight and helping others do theirs. I see so many people get caught up with, oh, I'm doing well, I feel really good, I made good choices. This week I planned ahead, I ate mindfully, I was connected to my why, I brought it to every question. I said no to my excuses, I did my exercise. They're feeling great. They might be having more energy, might be fitting better into their clothes, might be just noticing that they wake up more refreshed than normal. They might notice that cravings have lessened or reduced or disappeared. And yet, you then go and get on the scales and they didn't give you the result you were expecting. Maybe it wasn't a big loss, maybe it was a smaller loss, maybe it was a small gain, maybe you stayed the same. And suddenly you throw your hands in the air and go, well, that didn't work. We feel bad. We have to get the focus off the scales. But there's a quote I really love, that if you focus on the result, you'll never change. But if you focus on the change, you'll get the result. I really do fundamentally believe that. When we focus on practicing the behaviors, these new habits on purpose, deliberately, purposefully, with responsibility and self-care and compassion, when we focus on them, our success becomes inevitable. because either it works and we learn what works and then we keep it, or we learn what didn't work and we now have more information so we can modify our plan, we can adjust that behavior, we can go, was there something I didn't consider, was there something I wasn't aware of, or have I just not practiced it enough? Okay. Now you get to make a decision again, and you get to go again, you get to go again, you go again. So I guess the last way to keep it going is to keep choosing deliberately, to don't let yourself quit when you want to. And don't make the last mistake of thinking, I can do it, now I stop. I call this the competency trap. So often we feel like we got there, I've done it once, I've done it 2 times, I've done it a whole week, woohoo, great. Or I've done it enough times, I'm getting results, right? I'm seeing my weight loss, I'm seeing my fitness and my energy improve, I'm seeing my clothes fit better, I can move more. And then we go, oh, well, now I deserve a reward, or now I need a little break. No. If you ever hear those thoughts, right? If you ever hear like, oh, I need to reward myself for something I'm doing, then that's not that reward, and if that reward is not just acknowledgement, right? Just not pride, right? Now, there's nothing wrong with giving yourself a reward, but needing a reward, right? Oh, I need a reward now, I need a thing. Okay, well, check in with yourself, because that possibly suggests you're trying to make a change that feels too much or too hard, that you have to work too hard. Can you scale that back a little bit? Can you do one piece of it at a time? The rewards will come, by the way. There's nothing wrong with celebrating your success and giving yourself a gift, but the real gift is that you get to live the life you want. You get to maintain your weight with ease. Think of what it would be like, to be able to run the kids out, to have more energy then, to say yes to yourself when you want to, right? Instead of when you would normally say no. Being willing to advocate for yourself, being able to, do things in your life and look forward to them with anticipation. Coming up to beach weather here in Australia, and things like, I'd like to be able to go to the beach, get in the pool, be in my swimsuit, and be perfectly fine. I'd like to be able to look in the mirror and like what I see. If you want any of that, let me know. If this is a behavior I want in my life, I want it to be the default behavior. Okay, well, how many times do I need to practice that until it is? Now, I don't know the answer. Chances are it's going to be many. It's usually going to be at least 100. It's kind of the bare minimum to get started. There's some research, and it so much varies about creating habits, anything from 18 days to 256 days, depending on how complex that habit is. But it takes as long as it takes. So the question is, am I willing to just keep practicing it, whether or not I get it right, until it is default? Right? Most of us didn't stop trying to brush our teeth or write our name or ride a bike or learn to drive or to do our work in the world, whatever that is, just because we didn't get it right the first time. We just did it again. We just decided it was important to us. We were capable, responsible for trying, and we did it again. We did it again, we did it again. It's how we made all of the habits we already have. So now can you just do it purposefully for the ones you want? Wherever you are, can you just decide that you're exactly where you need to be on your journey in life at the moment? And if it's not exactly where you want to be, can you choose just one small change to get you started? Can you commit to doing that one and showing up for you with care, with love, with compassion, and going, I'm going to take one small change. I know why it's important to me. I'm going to connect to that. I'm going to make sure my plan for that change is realistic. It's relevant in my life. It feels totally doable. I'm going to iterate as many times as necessary till it becomes easy. All things that are hard, by the way, become easier with practice, right? All things in your life that you can do with ease were probably once hard. You just practiced them. You just did them more times. And they got easier. Same too with all of the skills for weight loss and healthy living. And finally, acknowledge your success. Be proud of showing up and doing something for you. Okay. It all comes from self-love and self-care. All right, with that, I'm going to urge you to go in the world and practice. There was a lot in today's video, so maybe you want to watch that again. If you are watching on the Facebook, make sure you give me a like, give me a reaction. This will be going up on my video blog and my YouTube, so if you're watching on that, don't forget to subscribe. And I want to know what help you need next, whether you participated in the Back on Track Kickstart or not. My mission is to help people achieve the life they want, to lose their weight permanently, so you can get on with living the rest of your life. So if you'd like to talk about planning out your next steps, if you'd like to tell me what's holding you back or where your struggles are, I'm happy to offer you some help. I want to see you succeed. I know how fun it is. And I totally believe it's possible and doable for you. If you do want to book that call, you can book it at livemorelife.com.au. If you'd like to talk about working together so that I can be in your support network, helping you solve those issues, helping you move forward, then please get in touch. Keep joining me in the Weight Loss for Life community. Look out for my weekly videos. Oh, by the way, if you're a person who gets on the scales, you might want to go look at my video number 78. That was from June this year, about how often should I weigh myself. And check out some of my other videos on my blog. Lots of great information and support in there. And post in the group how you're going, what you're working on next. Keep celebrating the small changes, keep celebrating the small wins, keep working on one small change at a time. So let me know in the comments, what will you do to keep these habits going? Let's share your ideas in the comments.